On March 19th, 2024, in the quiet suburban town of Brandon, Mississippi, a family's life ended in a way that would shock not only the local community, but the entire country. What unfolded inside a modest home that day was not a moment of chaos or an accident born of panic. It was a sequence of deliberate actions carried out by a 14-year-old girl. Actions so calculated and emotionally detached that investigators would later describe the case as one of the most disturbing juvenile crimes they had ever encountered. Carly Madison Gregg was not an unknown troublemaker, nor was she living in obvious instability. From the outside, her life appeared ordinary. But beneath that surface, something dark had been forming, unnoticed and untreated, until it finally erupted with irreversible consequences. That morning began like many others. Ashley Smylie, 40 years old, was at home preparing for the day. She was a mother, a wife, and by all accounts, a woman devoted to her family. There were no reports of a heated argument, no emergency calls, no warning signs that violence was imminent. At some point during the day, Carly quietly entered her mother's bedroom. Hidden beneath the bed was a .357 Magnum revolver, a powerful firearm capable of inflicting catastrophic damage. Carly retrieved the gun, turned toward her mother, and fired a single shot into Ashley Smylie's head. The wound was instantly fatal. Ashley collapsed, her life ending before she had any chance to react or defend herself. What followed was not panic, hysteria, or confusion. Instead, investigators would later describe Carly's behavior as calm, controlled, and disturbingly methodical. With her mother's body lying nearby, Carly picked up Ashley's phone and composed a message to her stepfather, Heath Smylie. The message was simple and casual, asking him to come home. There was no indication of distress, no hint that anything was wrong. It was a calculated move designed to draw him into the house under false pretenses. When Heath Smylie arrived and entered through the kitchen door, he was met not by his wife or stepdaughter greeting him, but by Carly holding the same revolver. Without hesitation, she fired, striking him in the shoulder. The shot did not kill him, but it caused immediate pain and confusion. A struggle followed as Heath attempted to disarm Carly. In a desperate effort to survive, he managed to wrestle the gun from her hands. The sounds of gunfire, shouting, and chaos filled the house, all of it captured by the home's security cameras. These recordings would later become some of the most damning evidence presented in court, offering an unfiltered, real-time view of the violence. After the struggle ended and Heath escaped immediate danger, the situation took an even more chilling turn. Instead of fleeing, collapsing, or showing signs of emotional distress, Carly continued with her day. At some point after the shooting, she contacted a friend and invited them over to the house. When the friend arrived and stood at the doorway, Carly reportedly asked a question that would later send a shiver through the courtroom. "Are you squeamish around dead bodies?" The casual nature of the question, combined with the reality of what lay inside the home, left investigators and jurors struggling to comprehend her state of mind. Inside, Ashley Smylie's body remained where it had fallen. There was no attempt to call emergency services, no effort to seek help or show remorse. Prosecutors later revealed that Carly changed her clothes after the killing, sang to herself, and made attempts to conceal evidence. These actions painted a picture not of a child acting in a moment of uncontrollable rage, but someone who understood what she had done and took steps to manage the aftermath. When law enforcement arrived, the full scope of the crime became clear. Ashley Smylie was pronounced dead at the scene. Heath Smylie survived his injuries and was able to provide first-hand testimony of what had occurred. Carly was taken into custody without resistance. Given her age, the case immediately raised complex legal and ethical questions. How does the justice system handle a defendant who is both a child and the perpetrator of such extreme violence? Was this the result of mental illness, emotional trauma, or something more calculated? As the investigation unfolded, prosecutors worked to reconstruct Carly's actions minute by minute. They examined digital evidence, security footage, witness statements, and forensic findings. The surveillance recordings from inside the home proved especially crucial. They showed not only the shooting of Heath Smylie, but Carly's demeanor before and after the attack. There were no visible signs of panic or confusion. Her movements were steady. Her voice, when heard, was calm. This evidence directly challenged any claim that she was acting under an uncontrollable psychological break at the time. The defense argued that Carly was suffering from severe mental health issues, suggesting that her actions were not the result of rational thought. They pointed to her age, emotional development, and possible underlying psychological conditions. However, prosecutors countered with evidence that demonstrated planning, awareness, and intent. They emphasized the retrieval of the hidden firearm, the decision to message her stepfather after killing her mother, the invitation of a friend to the scene, and the deliberate efforts to alter her appearance and conceal evidence. In their view, these were not the actions of someone disconnected from reality, but of someone who understood the consequences of her behavior. The trial took place in Rankin County in September 2024. Because of Carly's age, the proceedings drew intense media attention and public debate. Many struggled with the idea of labeling a 14-year-old as a murderer, while others focused on the undeniable brutality of the crime. In the courtroom, the jury was shown the security footage, heard testimony from investigators, medical examiners, and Heath Smylie himself. They listened as prosecutors laid out a timeline that left little room for doubt. Ultimately, the jury reached a unanimous verdict. Carly Madison Gregg was found guilty of first-degree murder for the killing of her mother, attempted murder for the shooting of her stepfather, and tampering with evidence. The verdict marked a rare and severe outcome for a juvenile defendant, reflecting the gravity of the crimes and the strength of the evidence presented. Sentencing followed soon after. Despite her age, the court determined that the nature of the crimes warranted the harshest possible punishment under the law. Carly was sentenced to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole, along with an additional 10 years for evidence tampering. The judge acknowledged the difficulty of imposing such a sentence on someone so young, but emphasized the calculated nature of the acts and the permanent loss suffered by the victims. Today, Carly Gregg is housed in a juvenile detention facility in Mississippi, where she will remain until being transferred to an adult correctional institution. Ashley Smylie is gone, her life ended by the person she raised. Heath Smylie carries both physical and emotional scars from surviving an attack carried out by his stepdaughter. The case has left a lasting impact on the Brandon community and reignited national conversations about juvenile justice, mental health, and the limits of rehabilitation. What makes this case so deeply unsettling is not only the violence itself, but the emotional void surrounding it. There is no explosion of rage, no frantic attempt to undo what had been done. Instead, there was silence, calculation, and a chilling sense of detachment. It stands as a stark reminder that evil does not always announce itself with chaos. Sometimes it moves quietly, hidden behind a young face, waiting for the moment it decides to act.